Not everything in this world has a clear answer. Hello, and welcome to all you hunters of facts, seekers of knowledge, and to those just a little bit curious to FactSam, and another episode of Facts Unknown, a series in which we explore the facts behind some of history's unsolved myths and mysteries. In this episode, we'll explore a phenomenon which terrorised the whole of the UK, Spring Hill Jack. Let us begin. The year was 1837. Queen Victoria had just ascended to the throne, marking the beginning of the Victorian era. But another era was about to begin, one of terror, one which would start in London but quickly spread throughout the country for over 60 years. It all began in October 1837. Mary Stevens was travelling to Lavender Hill near Clapham Junction. She had just visited her parents in Battersea and was walking through Clapham Common when a figure sprang out from an alley. Gripping her arms tight, he began to kiss her whilst clawing at her clothes, ripping them. Mary screamed, which caused the figure to flee. She later described the claws as cold and clammy, as those of a corpse. The next night, not too far away, a carriage was travelling when a figure suddenly leapt out in front, which caused the coachman to swerve and crash. Several eyewitnesses claimed to see the figure jump over a 9 feet high wall with a high-pitched ringing laughter. For several months there continued to be sightings and attacks. The Lord Mayor of London, Sir John Cohen, began receiving letters of complaint regarding wicked pranks. One even claimed that several people had died of fright in parts of suburban London. Reports continued to come in from all over London about a creature with eyes like balls of fire, icy claws, and who would leap between rooftops, seemingly with ease. At this point, the press began to report on the attacks, naming the entity Spring Hill Jack. It was in February 1838 when the two most infamous sightings occurred. The first was on the night of 19th of February. Jane Alsop was at her father's house when someone rang the bell claiming they had caught Spring Hill Jack and to bring a candle. She obeyed this, opened the door and walked towards the man, who was wearing a cloak. Upon handing him the candle, he flung his cloak off and revealed what Miss Alsop described as a most hideous and frightful appearance. He wore a large helmet and very tight-fitting clothing. The man then vomited blue and white flames. He then grabbed Miss Alsop and tore out a gown with claws described as some metallic substance. She managed to free herself from his grip, screamed for help, and ran back to the house, but the creature caught up to her on the steps and clawed at her neck and arms. When one of Miss Alsop's sisters came, it fled. Just over a week later, on the 28th of February, Lucy Scales was walking home with her sister. They had just visited their brother in a respectable part of Limehouse. Lucy was walking slightly ahead of her sister. As they approached Green Dragon Alley, she noticed a cloaked person standing near the entrance. As she passed, the person spit blue flames in her face before walking off. This incident caused Lucy to fall to the ground and be seized by violent fits for several hours. After these incidents, people began to suspect something supernatural. The police, however, were more sceptical, believing some prankster was to blame. One supposed arrest was made at Thomas Milbank. Thomas had been boasted about being Spring Hill Jack in a pub, had been wearing white overalls and a greatcoat. However, all charges were dropped when Thomas stated he could not breathe fire like the incidents claim, and if that isn't the weirdest reason someone has got off a charge, I don't know what is. The reports of Spring Hill Jack began to spread out from London. On 14th of April 1838, a gardener in Brighton reported being chased by a large creature he claimed to be Spring Hill Jack, although most details do not match previous attacks, such as the creature being described as large, bear-like, and running on all fours. But Spring Hill Jack's reputation continued to spread. Throughout the 19th century, he became the feature of many plays and penny dreadfuls. He became a Victorian boogeyman, being blamed for a variety of unsolved crimes by journalists spinning the story to sell papers. Nothing changes then, I guess. For a few years there was not many sightings. However, in 1843 a new wave swept through the country, most notably in East Anglia, where a string of attacks on mail coach drivers were linked to Spring Hill Jack. In Tamworth, Devon, in July 1847, a Captain Finch was convicted of 2 charges of assault for attacks against women, in incidents bearing a resemblance to those of Jack. This is a point we will return to in our theories. Some have linked Jack to the Devil's footprints in Devon in February 1855, but due to no eyewitnesses, there is no evidence to this, and it could be put down to hysteria. Sightings then began to become less frequent and more spread out. In November 1872, a mysterious figure known as the Peckham Ghost was linked to Spring Hill Jack, as was the Park Ghost in Sheffield between April and May 1873. More reported sightings followed, one of the most notable occurring in Aldershot Barracks in August 1877. A sentry who was on duty noticed in the darkness a figure advancing towards him. Ignoring the soldier's challenges, the figure came up to him and slapped him several times. Another guard fired at the figure, but this had no apparent effect. The figure then disappeared with astonishing bounds. After this incident, the sentries were told to shoot on sight, after which the figure did not appear in the area. In Lincolnshire, a crowd is said to have chased and shot at Spring Hill Jack, but he merely laughed and escaped by jumping over a high wall. The reports then began to move further north. He was sighted in Everton, Liverpool, on the roof of St Francis Xavier's Church in 1888. Then, in the last reported sighting, he was seen near William Henry Street in 1904. Bear in mind, a lot of these sightings are based on hearsay, rumours and Chinese whispers. Many details may be exaggerated or even false completely. Taking that into consideration, we will now look at some of the theories surrounding Spring Hill Jack. The theories can be split into 2 categories, the skeptical and the paranormal. We'll start with the skeptical. Most investigators on this side dismiss the stories as mass hysteria. Instead, they focus on the idea of one or more individuals being involved in some sort of prank. To support this, we must return to the letters the Lord Mayor received, in which a member of the public blamed a group of aristocrats. In this theory, only one name is mentioned: Henry de la Poer Beresford, the 3rd Marquess of Waterford. The Marquess was the main suspect at the time and earned himself the nickname the Mad Marquess, mainly due to his reputation for drunken brawls, brutal jokes, vandalism, and reportedly would do anything for a bet, and was supposedly in London at the time of the first sightings. It was claimed in 1880 by E. Coburn Brewer that he had a habit of jumping out on travellers to scare them, but without solid proof, most of his evidence could just be circumstantial. But since the Marquess died in 1859, several sightings cannot be attributed to him. Right? Well, it is also believed there were several copycats, just like Captain Finch, trying to take advantage of the hysteria. On the other side of the spectrum is the paranormal theories. These mainly revolve around the belief that Spring Hill Jack was some sort of demon which had been summoned, either purposely or by mistake. Others propose the idea that he may have been a man with superhuman abilities. Some claim the victims may have suffered hallucinations, but this does not explain the many witnesses and sometimes physical evidence. And of course, there are those who believe he was an alien being. Looking at these theories, it is highly likely it was a combination of pranksters and mass hysteria, causing the stories to be over-exaggerated. Whether the Marquess of Waterford was involved is still up in the air, but as there is no solid evidence for these, and given the time past, it is highly likely we will never find out the truth. Thank you so much for watching. So what do you think? Was it a demon? Or was it simply a bunch of rich men with a bit too much time on their hands? Comment below and get a discussion going. If you have enjoyed this video, it would be greatly appreciated if you could leave a like. If you want to see more videos like this, then hit subscribe. If you're able to, it would also be greatly appreciated if you could support me on Patreon, where you will receive a variety of rewards, including early access to videos and the opportunity to vote on or choose future topics. The link to my page will be in the description below. Again, thank you for watching. I've been Faxam, and I hope to see you again soon.